doing?
Doing great, man.
It's Chucano Podcast, man.
All right.
We got a great episode today, man. Cesar, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Same old. Just trying to adjust to all this bullshit that's been happening since March.
Yeah, man, I hear you.
So we got Cesar from the Pissing Razors and Ministry, man.
Well, not Pissing Razors, but Ministry. That
Correct.
was a long time ago, but yeah, just.
Ex-member from the Pissing Razors.
Yeah, a long time ago, but Ministry, yeah.
How crazy is that, man? Being a part of Ministry right now, man. I got a chance to hear your guys' last album. It came out in 2018.
Yeah.
And you guys got to throw out an album in the middle of the Trump administration, and it was really cool, man. It was super cool. It was just high action like the whole time. I really enjoyed that album, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, that ended up being a pretty long tour cycle on that album.
Yeah.
We did a couple of runs in Europe, a couple of runs here in the U.S. with the big old Trump chickens on the side of the stage, which were fucking huge. Those things were probably about, I'd like to say about 13 feet tall on each side. So you can imagine on stages, if you YouTube some of the live shows like from 2018, some of the festival shows in Europe, and here in the States too, you'll see how big they are on stage. So it was, there was some times where they were like right next to you.
Yeah. And it's so cool, man, because you guys have even before your time, Ministry was always a type of band to really talk out like at the system and stuff, man.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, like for any band. There's a lot of people that think that bands shouldn't talk about anything going on political or give their political opinion, but I mean, what is music? Music is about putting a message out there.
Exactly.
Basically giving people a voice that sometimes are afraid to speak out. You got to kind of lead the pack and just speak from the heart and speak from your mind and not be afraid in the process and music is there's no boundaries to music. I think you should be able to talk about anything you want and express your opinions any way you want, and if people have anything negative to say about that and think that you shouldn't express that through music, then fuck them. Fuck them all.
And that's so funny, man, because it seems like that type of music, especially the music that you guys are more experienced in, it's like we need that right now, man. Like Al Jurgensen, I got to check him out on a podcast with stand-up comedian Bill Burr, man. He's such an interesting guy, man, and he's like, he never stops working, man. He's still working right now.
Oh, he's constantly working, constantly writing 24/7, and he's shown me a lot, man, in the past 6 years that I've been in the band. He's shown me a lot, man, about recording, about just thinking outside of the box, you know what I mean, and getting outside of the element that you're pretty much like known for or grew up in, So he's been able to get me outside of my comfort zone, to help me learn that I'm kind of capable of doing more than what I've done in the past.
On your own. Can you talk a little bit about that, Cesar? Because what I know from you, man, when I first met you and I found out who you were and the things that you have done and stuff, we really communicated and we connected with studio stuff. We would ask each other questions and stuff like, hey, Cesar, how do I do that? And you'd be like, hey, is there an app? Is there like a plug-in for this or that? Or what do you do? And I'm like, and then we would like talk about that.
Yeah, kind of just like we just did with your camera.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's how I know you. And I was like, wow, Cesar knows a lot about this stuff. So you gotten as far as you could with your own projects. I believe Guerrilla.
The Guerrilla Deathbox stuff.
Man.
That honestly, that didn't go far. That was more of an experimental thing,
project,
and that was out of the box too. You know what I mean? Because that was more of a bluesy rock band, which was really really cool. It's just we ended up really not doing anything. You know, we had and it was an awesome unit. You know, we had Brian Ramos on bass.
Oh yeah, good on Brian. Shout out to Brian, man.
Yeah, Brian Ramos on bass. Good dude. I've known that dude for a long time.
Hell yeah. He's great engineer too.
Yeah, he's killer, man. And of course, Matt was in that. Matt, myself.
Yeah, shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt.
And the singer that we were working with decided he didn't want to do it. And you know, it kind of just went to the wayside. But I mean, a lot of good songs came out of it. I don't regret it. Any projects that haven't gotten anywhere, because I mean, I think the way to success is through many failures. And you know, it sounds kind of cliche, and a lot of people say it, but it's the truth. I mean,
I think that's where we are right now, actually. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way to success is through many failures, and you'll actually have way more failures. The success rate versus the failure rate is pretty fucking off.
Yeah, especially in music, man. You give so much of your life, man, and sometimes I feel like I'm in a stage where I kind of feel like it hasn't really given me back. Yeah, not even anything close to what I've given it.
I think the best way around that is, like, I've always gone by a philosophy, not a philosophy. It's my philosophy, but this has always stuck in my head, and I've always felt strong about this. But like, you give everything, but just don't expect anything out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just know that if it's making you happy, then it is successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, for me, anything that makes me happy, whether it be recording in my room or writing songs on my couch, I mean, for me, that's like makes me happy. So for me, that's success, is to know that you're, you know, creating songs and that you're writing songs, whether it be in your head or sitting on your couch or in front of a Pro Tools rig or live with a band and being on tour. Those are all elements of success, because it makes me happy. You know what I mean?
To give a little background on you, Cesar, you were a local musician here in El Paso for many years.
Born and raised,
man. And then
you're a guitar tech for the Pissing Razors, right?
Yeah, that's actually how I started. Well, before the Razors, I started guitar teching for a band called the Hate Campaign. Do you guys remember the Hate Campaign?
No, I don't. I'm not
even for the Razors, man, we were too young for the.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, the Hate Campaign, that was maybe about 1998.
Yeah.
I was probably about 19 years old.
Badass.
At the time, about 19 years old.
Yeah.
And they were like an up-and-coming band here in town. Of course, the Razors had already gotten their start, and they were already out.
Yeah.
But the Hate Campaign was the very first band that, you know, that I actually went out with. Short road trip, and then shortly after that, I ended up guitar teching for the Razors for like one tour before I ended up playing guitar for a few years.
Yeah. So once Matt decided to leave, what were your emotions going through? Like, I mean, was it like a bittersweet type of thing?
Because, you know, Matt's a friend and stuff like that.
Well, you guys are all brothers.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, it was exciting because you know, get to do what you are meant
to do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think everyone has, everyone kind of knows what they're put on this earth to do, you know what I mean? So I've always known that was like my calling. So so it was exciting. It was exciting and kind of nerve-wracking, because I only had like 2 days to rehearse. Not even with everyone.
That's 2 albums you had to learn, or
it was like 2 albums worth of material.
Wow.
But the set list had pretty much stayed the same when I was guitar teching.
Okay.
But I already knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it in my head, and I knew how to play it.
Yeah.
And I think they were in Europe, and Matt decided to leave, and they asked me if I was interested in joining the band, which I did, and I kind of just brushed up on a couple of things. And when they got back, I think they had a day off, and when they got back, we ended up rehearsing like 1 or 2 days, and that was without Rick, the bass player.
Okay.
It was just
that must have been even harder, right?
Kind of, but I mean, I had already.
You were familiar with the set.
Yeah, I was familiar with the set because I had been on the road with them for a long time.
You picked it up all by ear, or was Matt there to kind of like lead the way and show you?
Pretty much by watching and by, you know, just knowing how to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I did, man.
So on Fields of Disbelief, was that your writing, or was that a lot of Eddie too? Or?
No, that was a combination of myself and Ed, actually. And
awesome.
Joe had some riffs in there, but that was the very first album that I ever recorded, full length, that I ever recorded at Sonic
Beautiful
Ranch.
album, man. I love it.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, it's kind of weird, man, because like 20 years later, there's people that are like discovering that album and stuff like that. My personal favorites are the first two. You know what I mean?
First two are dope. I was actually listening to the first album, and I was listening to Dodging Bullets.
Oh yeah,
and I was kind of tripping out on it. I was like, this sounds a little familiar, right? And I kind of picked up the riff from Down With The Sickness, but I was like, dude, this is 2 years before Down With The Sickness came out. So I was like, what the fuck? I mean, it sounds familiar. I'm not too sure if it's in the same key or not, but
yeah, those dudes, you know, like Matt and Ed and Joe and Rick, they really tuned into something that was and is pretty special, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Pretty original and stuff, and
it is.
You know, the band gets compared to other bands too,
but
it's,
I mean,
like
I was saying,
get compared
it's
to any
2
band.
years.
From what I've heard from other metal bands, they all look up to the Razors.
Oh, yeah.
Paso.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys know the Razors?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm proud of the time that
you spent there, and you learned a lot too.
And that's actually where I learned most of like my road etiquette, because I mean, you could be a great musician, you could be a kick-ass musician, but can't hack the road. You know what I mean?
I've seen it. I've seen that happen.
Exactly. So there's a lot of elements that go into musicianship to be able to be out on the road and
grind
record
on the road,
in the studio. And
if you're not making money, you're spending money. So it's it's pretty tight. Even no matter what level you are when you go on the road, if you're not making money, you're spending money. So it's a little tightrope that you have to learn to walk when you're out there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sacrifices, you know, along the way, and I'm glad that that I was able to go through that phase of things. So that you know, I don't forget that, because those are things that teach you. Those are skills that you learn that you still use till this day.
And that's what I was leading up to, because I was talking and mentioning about a little bit about your background and how you came to be and up to this point and how you gotten this far, and then Al came in and just kind of showed you the rest. Like,
I mean,
so you already knew you, like, since before, you already knew you were meant for it. But now on this scale again, you know, getting another chance, a lot of people don't get that chance.
Yeah, exactly. And
to get on this scale again, you're like, I'm meant for this.
Yeah, like, you know, there was a lot of points in between, like when I was not in the Razors anymore and trying to build different bands. There was a point there where, like, a time gap there where I had almost given up. Like, I almost gave up on just like trying to do things. Like, I was losing hope. And I was like, you know,
that's
what,
where
man?
I feel like I'm at right now. But you're a family man first.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost, your family, you know, has always been, you know,
number one
in how you make your decisions. Of course, absolutely.
And
so
exactly,
I can understand that.
I make my decisions based on how it's going to work out for my wife and kids.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Not just based on me, but how it's going to work out for them. You know, and it just turns out that right now, I mean, I can't complain about anything at all.
Right.
You know, everything that I've ever wanted in life is like I have. You know, and that's not because it was given to me. It's
no, it wasn't.
There's a lot of hard work. But what I was mentioning was, you know, there was a time gap where I felt like I was just going to give up.
Uninspired, kind of.
I was very inspired, but I didn't have. It just seemed like
the dream didn't seem as realistic.
It just seems like everything was falling apart, whether it be like members coming and going or things just not happening. You know what I mean? It's just that's where I started to lose it, and I said, you know what? I'm happy. I found a happiness in just like I found a happiness in just recording at home and writing songs at home, because I was able to project my ideas onto Pro Tools and write songs and sit there and listen to them and be like, okay, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? So there was a level of happiness. So it just so happens that around that time, I got a call and I got a call to see if I was interested in auditioning for the band.
Yeah,
and,
ministry.
Yeah, and that's the way it happened. Right around the time when I was just about to just say, you know what, fuck it, man, I'm done with this shit. Like,
was there any other names that you went against to win that job?
What do you mean?
Like any other guitarists that were in line or maybe trying out for that band?
Well, long story short, my friend of mine, Monty Pittman, he actually was going to play guitar with Ministry. Mm-hmm. If you guys don't know the name, Monty Pittman is a guitar player for Madonna.
Oh shit!
So Monty was gonna do the gig, and he wasn't able to do it because Madonna had stuff lined up, and you know, I mean, he's plays for Madonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's awesome, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
I mean that's a cush job right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I just like going into the situation with the Razors, where I already knew the stuff. Yeah. I already knew the Ministry stuff, because I had been working on it. Because I got word months before I flew out to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I got word 3 months before, so I prepped for 3 months, like every single fucking day, 2 times a day, going over an entire set, and then songs changing and learning those songs, and then songs changing again, learning those songs. Yep. I must have learned maybe about 10 extra songs that were never played, but I learned them anyways, you know what I mean?
That is fucking cool, man.
So when I got there, I was prepared. I got there on a Super Bowl Sunday.
Holy shit.
In February of 2015.
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday. I got dropped off at Al's house, and that was on Sunday. And then Monday, I watched them rehearse. It was a full production rehearsal. And then by Tuesday, I just kind of like jumped in, and that was it. And then 2 weeks later, we were doing like my first show with Ministry was in Australia, Adelaide, Australia.
Right.
Like 40,000 people.
I remember you posting that, man. What is Al's affinity with El Paso, man?
He just loves it.
He loves it, right?
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, the people.
I mean, for us around here, we call him Uncle Al around here. Like, he's got a big affinity for El Paso, and I never knew where that started from.
Yeah, I think that started from him just, living at Sonic Ranch for a few years when he came here. Initially, he has a story of him flying in, and it was like so dusty. You know how when you're flying in, it's like dusty. It's like flying into Mars, and he was like, "Fuck no, man! Like, I don't want to be here."
Yeah.
But he ended up staying, moving into Sonic Ranch, and they recorded a few albums there. And he ended up just staying here for 10 or 11 years. Not coincidentally, but oddly enough, I never knew him out here. I met him maybe a total of 2 times, but it was brief. I
knew he'd go out every once in a while with the guys.
2-3 minutes where I would talk to him, and that was 2 times, and I never got a chance to really meet or really know him when he was out here. That didn't start for me until I was out there.
So when he got a hold of you, did he ask somebody here in town, like, hey, who can I get? And did someone recommend you, or how did that happen?
I've known Sin.
Sin Corinne.
Yeah, I've known him for the past a good 20 years, dating back to like Razors, like when he was in another band and I was with the Razors. And we're touring together, and I kind of just kept in touch with him, and and he knew that I could play, and that's how it started. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Sin too, man. I got a chance to see him on a podcast with Joey Diaz on the Church of What's Happening, man.
Yeah.
And I was
on there with him.
Were you out there?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was on one of the podcasts with Joey Diaz. And
nice. Man, that's so awesome, man.
I've been dope. I would love to fucking meet Joey Diaz.
Yeah, that's one of our heroes, dude. But
he was
going back to
he was so high.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Him and Lee were fucking
they were big,
hammered.
Man. I remember
when you were talking about rehearsals. How was the chemistry? Was it instant or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was super instant. Rehearsals are long. It's no joke. Rehearsals are long, and they're long and they're tedious, and they're very put together because there's a lot of things that are going on stage that you need to hear. Samples, you need to hear like samples. Like through my monitors, I'm always running samples like really, really fucking hot. Like super hot.
You have to, right?
Yeah. Because
are they kind of like your metronome?
Yeah, a lot of
the kind of like the metronome of the song.
Samples and vocals are cues. You know what I mean? Just like count-offs. When you hear count-offs, like hi-hat count-offs, it's not your traditional like drum, bass, and guitar.
And it's not your traditional setup like verse, chorus, because there's some couple of bridges. There's a couple little jam out spaces in between songs.
There's a lot of shit that's going on. It's like.
Is it still safe to say is that considered industrial metal, or is that wrong? Is that
well, I mean that's what it's labeled as, you know.
I don't know if I'll ever subscribe to that. I don't know if that's what he had in mind or what.
Yeah, I don't know. If there is an interview that he just did. I'm not too sure what the title of the interview is.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago or whatever, but it was actually very, very inspiring to hear him describe, describe how he came about doing what he does and stuff. You know what I mean? But I don't really think he labels it himself. You know what I mean?
I just figured because of the like the samples and everything placed in there, kind of, I don't know if that's like what determines the genre of it. Yeah, it's very machine-like.
I think his interpretation and the way he put it in the interview was like, you hear all these things in the world, you know what I mean, like noises.
Yeah, and chatter and all that.
Yeah, like why not use all these natural noises for songs?
That's fucking cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And you know what?
He's been able to do it.
Reminds me of August Rush.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, man? There's a couple of musicians that like to do that kind of stuff, man. There's in our genre, there's an artist by the name of Manu Chao, and he'll throw in those little things like little pieces of radio or TV or something. He'll throw in his like little chatters everywhere, man.
Yeah, or just anything around you that makes noise. You know what I mean?
Maybe you're writing the song like you said on your couch, and you just hear that little piece on the TV, and you just like.
Yeah, for me, it's like mostly when I watch things, I have an instrumental like project. I won't even call it project. It's just an instrumental band that I do. I'm just writing everything. It's just me write everything, but I'm just inspired by like life events and shit that I see. I could be sitting on the couch watching TV, and just something inspires me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but going back to all noises and stuff like that. I mean, everything makes a noise. You know what I mean?
That's so freaking cool, man.
Might as well use it in a song, right?
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
I like the way, but it means something though.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like there's a couple of parts like where the words come in, and it definitely means something. It's like, how did you know how to pull that to put that right there? Like it's just so. I can't think that way as a songwriter. I can't think of that. I can't think of it like that.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that they can do that.
They're just thinking outside of the box.
And it's pure organic, man. And to replicate that live, how's that like?
Oh, that's where rehearsals come in. That's where rehearsals come in, man. And rehearsals are long. I mean, rehearsals could be, for 2 weeks before a tour, 10 hours a day, and it's just very, very. A very time.
It's a job.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't say a job because I love doing it and stuff like that. But I mean,
but it's professional in a way, right?
It makes you a perfectionist. You know what I mean? Like being in this band. I remember Al telling me when I joined the band. He goes, dude. He goes, this band is gonna make you a better guitar player and a better musician, and it has, because I've been able to. I've always been very, very picky about stuff, about band stuff, and like even prior, you know what I mean? I'm sure, I'm positive that people that I played with were just fucking annoyed by me.
By how perfect you want things to be.
Yeah,
man,
because
sometimes that type of mentality is good, because a lot of the times like a lot of band members don't try their hardest and they're not very like into it or whatever, but like I think having that one like, hey dude, like play that shit right, hey dude, you do this,
or try different things, you know what I mean?
You need it,
like trying different things, or trying different things. But I've always had that mentality in the past, and I'm sure in the past, I'm almost positive I've gotten on people's fucking nerves just because of the way I am and stuff. But
I have a lot.
This has kind of honed into to perfection. You know what I mean? To be a perfectionist, I think it's very important to practice being a perfectionist, whether you're a fucking welder, whether you're a
anything you do.
bodybuilder or a songwriter. Songwriting and playing those are two very different things too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I wanted to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm.
As a songwriter, you know how to write in your own voice. Was it difficult trying to write for Al in his voice? You know what he likes, and you know what you like. Were you able to write something that he could really, hey, you know what, that sounds really cool, I want to try that? Was it kind of hard, like kind of trying to write in his voice a little bit?
You know what, that's where we get back to like thinking outside of the box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I love doing is I love sitting in his studio and, and just kind of just going for it. Yeah. And listening to his suggestions. Oh, that's cool. Now try this. You know what I mean? Now try this. Now try this. Try a different note. That's fucking cool. You know what I mean? That's when you open up your mind, and that's when you kind of open up the curtain, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because a lot of songwriters and a lot of people who write tunes, they go into a studio thinking that, okay, this is the way
it's complete and it's done.
This is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And when someone suggests something, a lot of times people are like, it's just not, but you just got to let you got to let the
ego go.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And you just got to listen to suggestions, because at the end of the day, when you listen to all the different things that you played, and when it's put together, you're like, wow, that's what it became. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's what it became, and that's what that's what inspires me is like, and that's what opens up my mind is to try different things. You know what I mean?
It's like you offer this, and it goes through a filter with the group. And then it comes out to this beautiful thing that you would have never imagined, anticipated.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of high that I like. I like chasing that high, man.
Yeah, exactly.
My next favorite song is probably whatever I'm gonna write next. I'm gonna be stuck on that song for a while,
Yeah, I think.
And then until I find another one,
Yeah, I think when it comes to songwriting, I think it's like, I think you should always. First off, you should always record like ideas, whatever ideas you have. Like, say for instance, my Pro Tools files. I have, about 100. I've gone through maybe about 100 sessions that I've opened, just to write a couple of riffs, and then I like put them away, and I'm like, fuck, man, I wrote this like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I don't even remember how it goes or what tuning I was in, but that's fucking killer. You know what I mean? But at that moment, I got inspired enough to, record the idea, and then it just didn't go anywhere, and I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll probably use it later.
Yeah.
And then sifting through files, you start to find things that, okay, cool, it fits with now, you know? Yeah, so.
One question I had for you, man, is you're known here in Paso for being a badass fucking bartender, man. Right. What keeps you so humble, man?
Just the fact that this is, like, for instance, with you mentioned like bartending and stuff like that. That's what I've done for a long time. Yeah. I don't plan on giving that up, anytime soon. But there'll be a day where you just get older. You know what I mean? You get older. You don't want to be part of the nightlife anymore. Just the fact that, honestly, family does. Just the fact that I have a family. Yeah. And I need to make sure that my family is always taken care of, and I just, that's for me. That's my going out. You know what I mean? I don't drink anymore. I'm totally sober.
Yeah, same here, man. Yeah, year and a half, brother.
Oh, that's good.
You've been there with me, man, when I've had some crazy nights, man. But man, you're always looking after me, man. You're always taking care of me, bro.
Awesome,
and I always appreciate that, because to me, you're the veterans ahead of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're the veterans and stuff. And I've always looked up to you. I've always looked up to Eddie and everybody, man. Like,
that's what I was about to say right now. Is before I knew everything, like, when it came to Pissing Razors before ministry, I knew you as Cesar, from Mulligan's. And,
that's cool, man.
And, like, I would go in and I would see you, man. I would look up to you and be like, damn, this dude with dreads, he looks fucking dope, man, with the beard and everything, man. I was like, that dude's fucking cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then from Mulligan's, we followed you to Bourbon's, man, and it's just like, that's the dude to look for. That's the dude that, like, to look up to. You know what I mean? I always looked up to you.
And then come to find out, you're out there and touring, playing Russia
Yeah, it's even more like, wow, dude, I'm proud of you, man. Like,
a few months later, you're back. And you're just like, hey, what's going on, man? Like, dude, you just played Russia, bro. Like,
straight to work.
It took the Beatles like 50 years to go play Russia, bro.
Yeah,
like
that was actually pretty amazing. That was in 2016.
Yeah,
2016, and
this was after your Australia stint, wasn't it?
Yeah. This was a year after that. So,
gotcha.
My first year we had done Australia. Yeah. We did. Let me see. We did Australia, we did South Africa, we did South America and Mexico.
Yeah,
and had a couple of months off. Then did a U.S. tour.
Yeah,
and then the next year, which was 2016, we ended up doing a European tour, which included like Russia.
Wow,
a lot of festivals with a killer lineup. We had, of course, John Bechtel. Which is on keyboards. John used to be in Killing Joke and Fear Factory.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and he's a legend.
Yeah,
a legend. Of course, Sin. Of
Tony?
Course, no, actually.
Oh, you guys didn't have Tony?
We didn't have Tony at that time because he was out with. He was actually out with Fear Factory.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He had just joined Fear Factory. He was out with Fear Factory. So we had Jason Christopher, which was the bass player. He plays bass in Corey Taylor's new band.
And it's not Stone Sour. It's something different.
Yeah, it's it's Corey Taylor. It's
okay, cool.
Corey Taylor, stuff that just came out.
I gotta check that out.
Then we had Roy Mayorga on drums that plays with Stone Sour. And used to play with Soulfly.
Sounds familiar, like Roy.
Oh, dude, that was killer. That was a great. That
was a good band lineup at that time.
Great summer of touring and stuff. So.
How did they treat you, man? Were they cool with you and stuff?
Who's that?
All the guys and stuff when you came in.
Like bros,
any type of hazing?
No, not at all, man. It's just like bros. It's just like hanging out.
Any dope ass road stories you want to tell us, man? Anything you want to share?
Oh man,
I want to hear something crazy, man.
Oh, you want to hear something funny? All right, so we were taking a ferry. So when you're playing in France, or in England. Either way, if you're playing France first or England first, there's a ferry that will take you from like France to England or England to France, right? I believe we're taking the ferry that took us from France to England, right?
Okay.
Which you go through the cliffs of Dover. The English Channel.
Shout out Eric Johnson.
Right. So you go through the English Channel and you end up in. I'd like to say Wales, but anyhow, what's fucking funny is that when you're sitting on those, it's like just traditional. So the bus parks on the very, very bottom of the boat, right?
Okay.
And you can't stay in the bus, so you have to go upstairs, and it's traditional to go upstairs and have an English breakfast, right, on the fucking ferry.
That sounds terrible.
It's great, actually.
Is it cool?
Cool. It's great and stuff, but so it's early in the morning, so you get to like go out on outside of the boat and just check out the English Channel,
the sights and stuff.
Yeah, the sights. But so around that, you're usually tired because it's an early morning ferry ride. So you're.
Is it really foggy out there?
No, I've never seen any fog.
Okay.
I've never seen any fog, but
isn't it known for being like gloomy and shit like that? Kind of like
no,
like
dude.
Northeastern America.
I remember being
in England. Well, maybe it's London. Maybe.
I remember being in London a couple of times. It's always been sunny.
Oh,
just like
cool.
The same thing like with Seattle.
Every time you go to Seattle, it's always
sunny. It's always beautiful.
That's your vibe, bro. It's because you take your vibe with you, dude.
I'm like, fucking people are lying. It's not. There's no overcast here. Fucking liars.
You're from the desert, dude. You take the sun with you everywhere, bro. That's dope.
So we were taking the ferry, right, and then finished eating, and we're laughing because we're watching some dude fucking doze off in his seat, and I think we even have video of this man like dozing off, and when you doze off and you're like you start kicking and shit.
Oh yeah.
So then I was like, that all finished, and the dude got up, walked away. So I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go.
Was it a stranger?
No, I don't know who he was.
A stranger?
Yeah. So I ended up going to sit like where you can see the water and stuff like that, and I was inside, and there was an open chair. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired, man. I closed my eyes, like thinking I was just gonna close my eyes for a little bit, take a nap, and then the cleaning lady is like tapping on my shoulder.
Oh shit!
And she's like, "Hey, everyone's gone." So I'm like, holy fucking shit, man. Like, that's, dude, you don't want to be gone. I mean, you don't want to go downstairs and into, like, the garage where they keep all the vehicles and not
Nobody's
see
there.
your bus.
Oh, shit.
Fuck. So the bus was gone.
Yeah.
Bus was gone. The cars are already driving onto land.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know what, sir? They're like, for safety precautions, you can't do that. So
You're going back to
wait.
France.
Yeah. So I had to get on the shuttle that would take you like through this line, and at a distance I could see the bus going through this line, right?
Oh,
and I'm like, fuck, I was telling the driver I need to get out and catch up to the bus. So I'm calling our tour manager and I'm like, hey man, I'm fucking on this. They're like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm on this like shuttle bus
behind you guys.
Yeah, I'm on the shuttle bus you guys, and they can't stop because it's a line of cars that just keeps on going.
Yeah.
So I was freaking the fuck out, and so at this like station, they opened up the doors to drop people off, and then this a police officer escorted me to this like another check station and told him, hey, he's good. So I fucking ran. I ran at least a quarter mile, like as fast as I could.
Shit.
A quarter mile, maybe longer. To catch up to our bus, but still I was running in between like semis and cars and stuff, and they were going at a, like, say for instance, if you're going over the bridge and you know that pace. So I finally caught up, and they opened the doors of the bus, and they were all laughing. They were like, you fell asleep. But yeah, that was fucking scary. Yeah, that was funny.
Did they do any other pranks like that out on the road?
No, and that wasn't a prank. That was...
Oh, I thought they left you on purpose.
No.
Like, you fell asleep.
No,
like...
I fell asleep, and everybody like walked off. They didn't even know that I had walked off, and you know, they figured, okay, cool, everyone knows where to go when the ferry stops, because we had done it many times before.
Yeah.
But it was pretty scary.
So growing up, man, what musical influences were you into?
Oh man, growing up, my brother had a badass fucking record collection. Like, he had everything from like Zeppelin to AC/DC to The Doors to Van Halen, to Iron Maiden,
R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen.
Oh yeah,
man.
To Cheap Trick. Fuck, man, what else did he have in there? He just had everything that you could think of. That had to do with classic rock and metal, spanning like from the late '60s to Sabbath to the at that time to around the '80s. Because we're in the '80s, you know what I mean? So my earliest memories of listening to his records were listening to like the first couple of Motley Crue albums, like the first Motley Crue albums, AC/DC, of course his Zeppelin albums, Iron Maiden, and then came like Megadeth and Metallica, and and the later like thrash era, like in the mid 80s to late 90s and stuff like that. So
was there any like guilty pleasures that you enjoyed?
Not really,
You're
man.
willing to admit?
No, I don't have any guilty pleasures.
Like Joy Division or anybody like that?
No, for me, like, a good song is a good song, man. It doesn't matter what fucking genre it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not embarrassed to say, that I like whatever genre of music, because for me, it's about the songwriting. And I consider myself a songwriter. I love writing songs, and, so to hear songs that inspire me, it doesn't matter what genre it is. I just love songwriting, So.
What like for instance, for me, my family would get together and play the mañanitas, and everybody had a guitar, and I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
And that really got me into it. And I had an older cousin that used to play like in a cumbia / cover band, and watching them when I was little, I was like, man, I want to jam. Was that for me? That was that. For you, is that the record collection that your brother had, or is there other influences?
It was his record collection, and then my brother decided to buy a guitar, and he was influenced, so he wanted to start a band, which he did.
Dope.
He started a band, and they used to rehearse in the basement of our house.
Yeah.
And my brother used to take care of me a lot. So my brother was 10 years older than me, but he used to like take care of me, take me with his friends everywhere. Eventually he's a dude that ended up taking me to my first concerts.
Which one was your first concert?
Metallica on the And Justice for All tour.
Damn.
With Queensryche opened the show, and they
Holy shit.
it was on the Operation Mindcrime album. But he had started a band, and I used to just watch them. And then, when I was a teenager, that's coincidentally that's where we would rehearse, in that same room. And I was a teenager. I'd already taught myself how to play.
Yeah.
That's when I met Duty, man.
You just kind of followed suit, huh?
Yeah, that's when I met Duty. Duty answered a fucking ad at the headstand.
Oh shit.
Yeah, for a bass player. You know those ads on the paper, and you cut the slits out, and you just take a paper.
Yeah, man.
And I went back to the headstand. I made maybe 15 slits with my phone number written in.
Is this on the east side or?
No, this was in Central. Actually.
Central, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I grew up in Central. I went to Crockett Elementary.
Cool.
I went to Crockett, and I went to Austin High School.
Hell yeah, shout out to Austin.
Yeah, but that's where I met Duty, man. But I went back to the headstand to see how many slits were missing, and there was only one missing, and he was the only dude that called. And that's how I met him, and I think I was about 14 or 15 years old, and
that's the shit, dude.
We're in our 40s now, so that's how long I've known him.
How do you feel about the music scene in your level where you're at right now because of quarantine? And how about here in El Paso, man?
Well, music level, I don't like putting myself in any category like level wise or whatever, but what I do and all the bands that are doing stuff right now, it's fucking like blowing up. What else is there to do? People are writing albums, people are doing collaborations, people are doing collaboration like cover tunes that they're putting out. It's just for that to me is like a beauty of what like music can do when you don't have the outlet to perform live, because
you guys would be out on the road right now.
Oh yeah.
So now you guys are working on new material or what's going on? What's the plan with you guys right now?
Yeah, new material's already that's already been in the works for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
But going back to what you had mentioned, on a local level, I sad to say, but I am not very in touch with
the local
what's going on right now. You know what I mean? And it's not because I don't want to. It's simply because when I'm home, I miss a lot of things because I focus on work and I focus on family. And right now, kids are going to school at home. My wife and I are basically teachers at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where most of my time goes, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And and people might think I'm an asshole, and I've been told before that people think you're an asshole because they think you don't support like your local scene. No, it's not that. It's not that. I just don't have the time to go to shows. You know what I mean?
No, I've never gotten that feeling from you.
Yeah, neither have I.
And it sucks. And it that's not to say that I don't support. You know what I mean? It's just I'm a little older now, and I don't have time with a family to go to shows.
One of the first shows that we actually played was back in 2016. I don't know if you were. Was he there?
No, I don't think he was there anymore.
Mulligans?
We played Mulligans with
back in 16, or had you already moved out?
No, I had already. I was out by 14. I think.
Okay.
2014. Yeah.
We had played a show at Mulligan's and on Treywood, and we packed the place for St. Patrick's Day, man, and that was a great show, man.
Yeah, shows were always fun there, man.
They weren't too frequent, but
I remember the first show
when they would have shows there, man, they were fucking hit.
The first show I saw there was Lotix, and then I saw Jehovah. Jehovah was fucking sweet.
Shout out, man.
You know what's cool is that Danny and Matt.
Yeah, Danny, shout out.
Danny and Matt,
man, R.I.P.
I think Danny and Matt were able to turn that place around, and they were actually the first dudes to put on a show there in like fucking like 20 years. Like no bands had played there, but they had a vision to have us play there. You know what I mean? And at the time, and which was I think it was the 6th or Fuel to Fire or something like that. I think it was Fuel to Fire.
Fuel to Fire was you and Matt, right?
Yeah, and Danny and Duty, and Joe actually. Yeah, and Joe.
Shout out to Joe.
Yeah.
He's going to be on here next week, actually.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, we were supposed to have him yesterday, but he had to work, so we're going to get him next week.
Yeah. Danny and Matt, they were able to, bring live shows and essentially make that into like a mini venue, because the shows there were fun, man. The shows, I have a lot of good memories about playing shows at Mulligan's on Treywood, and it was just fun. And that, to me, I think there was much more, from what I can see and from what I could tell, there was much more of a music scene back then. Yeah. And again, maybe I'm just not in touch with like what's going on with like the younger kids.
Yeah.
But there's just, I know there's a lot going on, but I don't know exactly what's going on here in town.
And not to sound rude or anything, but I'm starting to see the younger guys, look at us like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how we've always felt about you guys.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just a trip now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. We started in '98, and then he joined in
middle
03.
school, man.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
They were in middle school, but I was always like the same thing, following them around and had the fucking.
Yeah.
I was always there trying to, like waiting for.
We were always just trying to write our own music, man. And I remember Fish would give us a lot of gigs back when we were in high school and stuff. Fish would hook us up over there at Bombardiers. And be like, hey man, come on down.
That was another place to play.
And he's a fucking monster musician himself. He's
shout
out.
Dude, yeah. Good
so
dude.
it was always you guys. You know what I mean? It was all of you guys. Like, I mean, especially, I got a chance to learn a lot from Eddie, especially in audio engineering and stuff like that too.
Yeah, that's another thing about Eddie too, is that I didn't know who he was until like later on. I was just like, oh, he's from the PC and Razors, and like he was always running sound for us. He was always quiet. I never knew him as Eddie Razor from the PC and Razors.
But even in my wildest times, man, Eddie would be like, hey man, I've been there. I know what you're up to. Take it easy. Do it like this. Do it like that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Eddie was always, and you know what? I always had the most respect for Eddie and them.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him too. I mean, he's a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? That dude travels the world too till this day. You know what I mean? But he's a monster drummer. He's a killer engineer. Live engineer and studio engineer. Yeah. So he could pretty much do anything. You know what I mean?
He would tell me, hey man, come on down, check it out. I'm gonna have a recording session, and of course I'd go down and hang out with him and Rhino and them, and
he's a dude to really, really like keep and hold your advice.
Absolutely.
Or his advice, because his advice is really like gold and stuff.
And I would ask him, man. I'm like, hey man, do you think we got it or what? He's like, you know what? Probably not here, Jake. To be honest with you, man. Yeah. He's like, but you guys do got something.
Yeah, he'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's a good thing is to be able to. Just to be able to listen to somebody that is going to tell you the truth, and not listen to somebody that's just going to blow smoke up your ass.
He's never been that way, man. Shout out to Eddie, man. We'll have him on soon too, man. Because I find myself like seeing some of you guys coming up, and they're like, oh man, we heard of you guys when you were Angel Syndrome or when you were Blue Throne Poets and stuff, and we changed genres. We went into reggae, rock, and cumbia. I just felt like music's a medicine. Like rock and roll is a medicine, man.
Music, period, is a medicine, and it really is. Especially during this time. Yeah. During this time, it's proven that it is. It's good for mental health, because right now there's a lot of mental health issues. Yeah. That people are starting to see, because people are just like, they have no outlet. For a lot of people, their outlet is like, taking their two-week vacation to go to shows and nothing but shows. I know people like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That take vacation and just to travel the world, because it's an outlet for them. And right now we don't have that. You know what I mean? But music is definitely a medicine. It don't matter what kind of music it is. It's definitely something to help us through like tough times.
I even see like genres as different medicines. If you opened up your medicine cabinet and you really need to stand up for yourself, you really need to let some steam out, like there's rock and roll. You know? Yeah. If you really need to find like your center, you need a ground or something, like some good classic reggae would really help you out, or like whatever vibe you really want, there's a music for it.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And just like you mentioned earlier, I've said it many times, there's only two types of music. There's good and bad. You can find good music in anything. In polka, if you really wanted to. You could find some bad motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I think the main thing is to like for me, I find inspiration in people, not necessarily in music. You know what I mean? Just in music, just in people like inspire me. You know what I mean? Good people inspire me. You know what I mean? As do bad people inspire me to write songs too sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it fuels you up and it pisses you off enough to be like.
That's what I try to tell you all the time. Is that use that as energy, man. You put that down somewhere. Man.
He tells me that all the time.
I've always gone. I've always. It's just people inspire me. Music inspires me, you know what I mean? And in turn, it's very important to inspire a younger generation, you know what I mean? Like for me, I don't set out to write certain things so people can be like, oh, look at me, you know what I mean? It's like, of course not. Because I just want to do it. And if, people catch on to it and people love it and are inspired by it, then that's cool. You know what I mean? That's even better because I like to inspire people like just as much as people inspire me. You know what I mean? That's the way I return it back to the universe is to I just inspire people with your music and by being a good person too. You know what I mean?
Of course, man. And the artistry of what you have is that you have this filter where you interpret your life, and it so happens to be music for you in this particular case. Music is the way you filter your interpretation of life, and this is the awesomeness and the beauty that comes out of it. When you write a song, or when you think of a concept and things like that. Your story is so unique, Cesar, man. It's like super unique because as us looking out, we got to see like, oh well, you're already the shit, and then all of a sudden like.
You leveled up.
No,
and all of a sudden, like you did something that I mean, it's everybody's dream. It's every guitarist's dream to really find yourself playing in a band that's fucking saying something. Especially right now, man. I can't imagine what your next shit's gonna sound like, dude.
Yeah.
Because that 2018 album, man, that was fucking. I mean. You guys were already talking about Antifa back then. You know what I mean?
Right. I think. I think
Al knows what he's doing, and he points it. He's like, I'm gonna be pissed off at the government, and this is how I'm gonna do it.
Well, he's always
and he's
spot
gonna
on
do it
about
right.
It. He's always
fucking right.
He's
man.
very spot on about.
He was right even on the Bill Burr podcast too. He was like, man, this and that, and we're like, oh shit.
He's a very very intelligent dude, and
super intelligent. Man.
He's taught me a lot, and he. Every time I get to listen to him talk about something, I listen to what he's saying. You know what I mean? Because that's knowledge. It's kind of like reading a book and you're feeding your brain. It's like he's a very intelligent dude.
Super into hockey.
Yeah,
he's super into hockey.
He's a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Hell yeah.
And they love him too. You know what I mean? He's very passionate about hockey and stuff. And another thing I could say is he's always treated me fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He's never mistreated me. He's always been a good dude, a good friend. So I appreciate him and his knowledge and the opportunity to be able to play in his band. You know what I mean? That's like that.
It's a blessing.
I just think about it sometimes, and I'm like, I even talk to my wife and I tell her, man, do you realize this is. Fuck, man, I like we were talking about earlier, like you get one chance sometimes and you never get it again.
Yeah, sometimes you're lucky enough to barely get one chance.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't take it for granted and stuff, and for granted, sorry. I don't, and I appreciate it, and I really respect I really respect what is happening, and I don't question it, and I just everything that comes, I just let it happen. Just ride that wave, man. Go with the flow, and because that's the universe that is making things happen and lining things up for you in your life. You know what I mean? It's like whatever you put out is what you get back. And if it's negativity, you're gonna get negativity back. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's positivity, then it's gonna come back.
And in a way, doesn't it? It feels like. It still feels like it was right on time, right? I mean, you got a lot of time to be with your daughters and everything and all that. So it was they're kind of a little bit older now when you started going on the road again, right?
When I started going on the road, my youngest girls were, now they're They were about 3 years old, actually. They were about 3 years old. Okay. I had, 2 3-year-olds. And she was 4, almost 5, and then at the time my oldest daughter, which is 20 now, so that would put her, at about 13 or 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So, so it's just the way, I'm very. I can honestly say that I've been very fortunate to have a life like I've had, down to, my marriage, my kids, and not all that has been fucking roses.
No, of course not.
I went through some really, really, really hard, really shitty, tough times when before I met my wife. Actually, I was a single dad. I was a single dad with a 1-year-old baby.
Oh yeah.
A single dad with a 1-year-old baby, and that was like, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because whoever thinks they're going to be a single dad, you hear about single moms all the time, but you don't hear about single dads. You know what I mean?
It's rough. It's rough either way.
My older brother is a single dad right now.
Yeah.
Well, he was a single dad. Now he is.
Just the way everything lined up when I met my wife, and I had my girls, and she had what I'll say my girls too. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And it just kind of blended into a family, and my wife and I were, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I have nothing to hide. I like talking about these things because it gives people insight of who I really am.
Yeah.
I'm just not that person that plays guitar.
Nothing came easy, man.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he gets to play with that big band and take off. Like, no, dude, he's got responsibility. He's a family man first, and he came from where I came from. Yeah. He came from the local scene.
I have nothing. This, what you see is what you get.
Absolutely.
The reason I talk about these things is because I know a lot of people can relate to those things because I've been there too. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been the single dad. I've been through custody battles. I've been through the fucking ringer of life. You know what I mean? And it just so happened that I remember that one point where I just felt like a piece, like everything just fucking stopped. Like all that stress at one time in my life stopped. And then, and I can't even describe it. It happened at one point where everything just stopped and everything just started going and I never questioned it from that point on. And I've never questioned it. I just let it go. And I like to think that, okay, cool. It was life's,
it was supposed to happen. Like those type of battles are supposed to happen. It's just, it turns you into the person you are.
Yeah. And I think it was just put into place to see if I could make it through a certain stage of life without losing my shit. And I think everyone goes through that. And I think at the end, there's always fucking light. People may think that there's, fuck, there's no light.
Especially right now in COVID and stuff.
Oh, yeah, man. Big time. Yeah, there's light like in every dark stage, in every dark tunnel, going through every dark tunnel, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to find it, and you have to believe that it's gonna come to you. You know what I mean?
I have a tattoo that resembles that. Like all my tattoos are darkness, right? Everything's like skulls and fucking demons. But I have one skull with the light.
Yeah.
Because there's always light in the dark.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole.
That's the whole theme of that is the theme of life. You know what I mean? It's like. Like I was mentioning before, I don't mind sharing that information with you guys. A lot of people might not say anything because it's too personal.
Yeah.
Well, at one point I might have thought that it was a very personal thing that I wanted to talk about.
And I was worried about that, man. Yeah. But to be honest, I wanted people to know this side of you.
Yeah.
Because this is what this podcast is really about, the Chucano Podcast. You're in El Paso and you're Chucano, man. Like, how did you do this? How did you get there? What did you have to go through? Yeah. And to show the kids maybe that someone else might check this out down the road or somewhere else and be like, that's how fucking Cesar did it. I can fucking do it.
Yeah, it's like, doing the right thing. I think, I actually learned that from Matt, actually. I remember Matt telling me, through like every situation, just do the right thing. Matt and Danny actually have always been the ones to tell me, just do the right thing, you know what I mean? And it's a couple of words, but it's a couple of words that mean everything, because in every situation, some fucker might cut you off on the driving, and as much as you want to like roll your windows down or like tell people like fuck off, like you know what I mean, but I always think about is like, oh, just do the right thing. You know what I mean?
I've like, seen someone cut me off and fucking like clip somebody, bro, and crash. And I'm like, dude, that would have been me right there. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, just do the right thing.
You never know.
I get road rage sometimes, but I don't flip people off though. I do the backhand.
Nowadays, man, it's like nowadays it's kind of iffy because everyone has a fucking gun and they you don't know who's gonna shoot you.
Man.
One time I was driving home and I remember I was kind of drunk and I saw some guy who was tailgating me and I was like, fuck, man. So I switched lanes and he was still tailgating me and I was like, man, I'm about to fucking stop on my brakes right now, right?
Yeah.
So finally I changed lanes again and they passed me and it's 4 dudes inside the car, right, with the windows low down. I was like, man, good thing I didn't try anything like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what the fuck they could have done. I don't know if they had a gun, like exactly like you said.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, that's when your gut feeling kicks in and you're like, you know what, I just better go. Yeah. Do the right thing.
Now the sound that you get now, you've talked a lot about your sound because you got your signature guitars and stuff.
I don't have a signature guitar.
Not anymore.
Not yet.
I
don't. Well, I don't have a signature.
You're just
guitar.
endorsed.
Yeah, I'm endorsed, but I don't have a signature guitar. Yeah.
Okay, but your sound.
I know it's Black Star and
No, it's actually that was 5 years ago, man.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
You changed that up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's evolved over time.
First, it was Gibson or Epiphone?
Gibson, actually.
Gibson first, and then it changed to.
Yeah, I have a funny story about that, actually.
Hit me up. Hit it.
All right. Long story short, we're doing some festivals in Australia, and my sister sends me a link to a link that was put out by Gibson, a story that was put out by Gibson, and it said Gibson guitars that rocked the Soundwave Festival.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, why is she sending this to me? So it's an article, and it has Slash on the very top, then has Richie Faulkner from Judas Priest, and then a couple other dudes, and there's a picture of me with all these other dudes, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool. And whoever did their research on it did their research really, really good because they, they got my name with a picture, and they were like, yeah, it said something about my battle worn Explorer because my main Explorer at the time, actually my favorite Gibson that I have.
Yeah.
My very first Explorer that I ever owned. There's a story behind that guitar too, but I'll go too deep but it's.
I want to hear it.
It has a chunk of wood missing from it.
Fuck yeah!
It fell out of a case one time, and the edge of a case took it out or whatever. So they ended up putting me in this article. So I was like, fuck yeah, man! This is my way in to see if maybe I could get on their roster or whatever. So
fuck yeah!
I end up getting trickled down the corporate line with those dudes, and I found someone, but they sent me to the Gibson Latino. They said just based on my name, I guess they sent me to Gibson Latino and stuff, and it was just very, very corporate. I can't say anything bad about the guitars because they're legendary and stuff like
absolutely.
that. But at the time, that was back in 2015. It was like you couldn't get a hold of anybody. I remember sending one of my personal guitars to them because they were gonna do some major repairs to it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear back for months and months and months, and then they're like, "Oh, you know what, man? We haven't looked at it yet." So
wow.
they were like, "We're just gonna send it back to you." So they sent it back, and it was in the same it's basically the way I packaged it. They just sent it, put a sticker on it, and sent it back.
Oh,
so it's just hard to get a hold of people, and when you're when you're doing a lot of touring and stuff like that, I'm sure a lot of touring musicians will agree. Yeah. It's great to work with companies that are going to have your back at any given moment. I just heard something turn off.
Yeah, that's the air conditioner.
Okay. It's just good to work with companies that are going to have your back
when you need them. Hey man, I'm on the road right now.
Hey, I have a guitar that broke. Is there anywhere in the area where I might be able to get a guitar? Can you guys ship a guitar to me? You know what I mean? Because in essence, you're doing that road work too. You know what I mean? So So in 2016 at NAMM 2016, I remember walking into Schecter, the Schecter booth at NAMM, and I think that was my very first NAMM. Actually, it was 2016. I walked into the Schecter booth, and everyone there was just fucking awesome.
They were ready, like, hey, Cesar, like, check this out and check this out.
And their exact words were, hey, if you're ever looking for any other company, we have your back and stuff like that. So I drove out to that NAMM, and when I drove back, I thought about it a lot, and I was like, you know what, man, this is probably the best choice. Like, I felt it. I was like, you know what? I should do it, man. I need to do it. So so when I got back, I gave it a couple of days. I let the NAMM storm kind of calm down, and then I called my artist relations guy, and I told him, hey, I really want to be a part of Schecter and stuff. Yeah, and they ended up putting out a guitar that is actually called the E1.
Okay.
I've always, the Explorer body style that's what I love to play, you know what I mean? It just fits me, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, it just fits me.
Just the way you stand and the way you pose and
works,
stuff, like, where you like to rest your hand and stuff, it just fits right.
It just fits right. It's the perfect guitar for me. I've been with them ever since 2016.
Now, did you have a lot of experience with Schecter before that NAMM experience?
Yeah, because before I owned a V, and it's actually a V that I used on. It's actually a V that I used for the initial ministry rehearsals when I started. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, so before that, I mean, I knew about Schecter. I remember back in the Razor days, which was in 90, like when we were demoing stuff for Fields of Disbelief.
Yeah.
In I think it was like 99 or 2000. I think it was 2000 probably, or 99, 2000, around there. Hector Camarena.
Yeah.
Lent me, because we're experimenting with lower tuning stuff,
like drop C or
A sharp.
Okay, everybody was hanging out with A sharp back in
back
those
then.
days.
Yeah, exactly. Man. And Hector Camarena, I don't know if he remembers this or not, but for those of you watching who don't know who Hector is, you need to know who Hector Camarena is, because he's a fucking killer guitar player, killer shredder, great dude. Good attitude. But anyhow, he lent me a 7-string Schecter Avenger at the time. And I think it had like 6 tuning pegs on one side and 1 on one. So it was a 6-1 or 1-6 or whatever. And so I mean, I've been experimenting with Schecter since then.
So it kind of made you feel like I need to go back to do my own thing. And Schecter's like, they're telling me that they're down and they're ready to work with me.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like very familiar then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But with newer gear, because obviously like those guitars are fucking crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, they've taken care of me, man. The E1s that I've gotten, and some other guitars with like whammies.
What kind of pickups do they have?
Yeah. Are they active?
EMGs. Yeah.
I love
EMGs.
I've always used EMGs. So I use in all my guitars, my road guitars, and I always gravitate, even though I experiment with all these different pickups, I always gravitate back to an EMG 85 in the bridge.
Yeah, the 85.
Yeah, a lot of people use them for the neck, but that's actually, it was meant to be a bridge pickup, and it's actually their most classic pickup that they have. It's one of the, not the first pickup that they designed, or one of the first, but it's been around since the 70s, I believe. And I use that on the bridge. And
are you familiar with what type of are those Alnico magnets, or what kind of magnets?
Yeah, Alnico magnets.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love Alnico magnets. So they make a EMG 80. Well, the EMG 85 is what I use. There's another one called a Fat 55. That's Alnico magnet also.
Yeah.
And there's one ceramic pickup that fucking rules that they just came out with. It's called the Hot 70.
Oh shit.
That's an amazing pickup. An amazing ceramic pickup.
And these are all doubles, right? These are all double humbuckers.
All humbuckers, right? Yeah. So the 2 latest guitars that I've gotten that are custom guitars from Schecter are single pickup guitars. So you guys, a lot of people have been asking about my single pickup E1 with single pickup. It's flat black, it's matte black with one gold pickup and all gold hardware and stuff. I actually dreamt that guitar. I dreamt that I was playing that guitar.
It's making me miss my Schecter, man.
I know, dude. That's dope.
I dreamt about that guitar. I had a dream that I was playing that guitar on stage, and I saw it in a dream, and I was like, fuck, that guitar's awesome. So I was like, the next day I emailed my artist relations guy at Schecter, and I go, hey, can we make this happen? Like, is there any way you can do this guitar? And I told him exactly. I go, dude, this is the guitar that I saw in my dreams. This is matte black, one pickup, gold hardware, and that's it. And he said, yeah. So the dude that put it together, his name is they call him Chewy. He's the dude that does all the painting. He paints for the custom shop at Schecter, but he's done a lot of. He used to work for Washburn.
Okay.
When Dimebag was with Washburn.
Washburn back in the day. Yeah.
So a lot of those classic iconic guitars that you would see Dimebag playing, he painted those.
Chewy did.
Yeah, Chewy did. So he's the one that actually put that guitar together for me in terms of making it a single pickup guitar.
Hell yeah.
And he totally customized guitar for me, and just the way I imagined it. So.
And that one does have the EM85 pickup?
The EMG 85, yeah.
And that one, you say you keep it on the bridge, so it's got a pretty warm tone to it then, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's just a... What's that? No, it's not even.
It's just custom, right?
Yeah, it's not even available. Yeah, it's just a guitar.
But that's what they look like, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking cool, man. And as far as your pedal tones and everything, that's easy. As far as your pedal tones and stuff, man, did you look up to anybody here in the scene and stuff, and or did you like find everything on your own as far as your tone?
As far as tone is concerned, man. I've always gone for what sounds good.
Of course.
Because, someone could say, hey, you have amazing tone. And, what do I do? They get the exact same shit, and then they plug into it. It's like, well, it doesn't sound the same.
Out. John Robin, he was a guitar tech here in El Paso.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And he got me into the Marshalls. He got me into the J series. I started with that, but then I heard some of my buddies playing with a Mesa Boogie.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, damn, dude, that fucking Mesa is kind of more what I wanted because
exactly.
I'm not much of a solo guitar player. I do a lot of chords and stuff. And even in my distortions, I would do a lot of chords. Mm-hmm. So I kind of started gravitating more towards Mesa because my friend used to play Mesa.
It's like you kind of, honestly, when it comes to tone, man, you got just like when you're recording, you got to just trust your ear. Your ear is going to tell you everything. And it's a combination of your hands and your ear. You know what I mean? You could have, the biggest pedal board on earth and plug into an amp, and it's just, I think it's just your ear and what you're kind of looking for. I always base what I try and do is I try and dial in an amp without any pedals to see exactly how good I can get that amp to sound
before
nothing in front of it. Because if you don't need anything, I'm using some amps. They're called Wizard. Wizard. Yeah, they're a fucking amazing amp company.
Where are they from?
Cornwall, Canada.
Oh shit.
And gentleman's name is Rick St. Pierre. He's the owner. He's just a master amp builder. A lot of people look up to him. He worked for AC/DC for many years. He was an amp tech for them on the road for well over 20 years, and he's he's a dude that people look at when it comes to amp building. He's got just an amazing reputation for being one of the best amp builders in the world.
Are your amps all tubed, or are they like?
They're all tubed. Yeah,
they're all tubed.
They're all tubed.
Are they a combination of the EL37s or the 6L6s, or
just EL34s? Yeah, it's
all 34s.
Yeah, they're all EL34s. And
a little more British.
Yeah, people's taste in tone and ear for tone, it does change over the years. You know what I mean? Because if you asked me 20 years ago, I used to get a killer tone out of when I was with the Razors, I used to use an old Mesa Dual rectifier that sounded fucking killer.
Dual, man.
You know what I mean? Man. It sounded killer. But now, my taste for tone has changed. You know, I go more for that British like mid-range,
but it's
bitey.
It's up in the front.
Oh
though.
yeah,
I can't explain it, but if you could see that tone, it's pushed up to the front, man.
It's pushed up front, and it's like you can feel it. Like you could feel it. You can feel the mids.
Yeah.
And the mids and the highs just kind of, you know, as to where, you know, for me, what makes a really, really good guitar tone is how good your bass player's tone is.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, you know, playing next to Tony Campos.
Oh man.
Tony Campos
Shout out. He's a legend.
Yeah, a legend, and he has one of the best bass tones ever. Like
on that bass, on that album, bro. I keep going back to it, but there was some sick fucking bass tone on that fucking album, man.
Fucking Tony has some killer bass tone, and I notice that when I'm playing next to Tony, my guitar tone is that much better because the frequencies, they blend perfectly.
Hence the EL34s that have more of the mids because he's already taking up all that low end, and you don't want to muddy his sound or your sound.
Yeah, I think it's
so the EL34s really push more of the brightness.
Yeah,
not too bright, but it kind of pushes out the mids.
And I think this is like information that could help like up and comers too. You know what I mean? When you're struggling for tones in a rehearsal room, you know, think about your bass player's tone, and kind of mold your guitar tone, you know, because you don't need all these lows. I mean, guitar is a mid-range instrument, you know what I mean? So mid-range, some highs in there, and don't get crazy with the lows because all it does is ends up getting all muddy and all these frequencies start fighting with each other.
Sometimes you just want to do it all, but you got to remember he has his space. Yeah, I have my space. Like I tell him all the time, like when we
sometimes he has a couple guitar riffs that have like he has like a bass line on top of his guitar riff. I'm like, dude, like
I got it.
Yeah. But I'll tell him especially when we're mixing, I picture it in my mind. Like if I could see the sound, I'd picture like the snare and the vocals up here, and then I'd picture my guitars a little bit behind. I picture the bass in the middle, and then I picture the kick more up to the front, but down right below him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if I could see it in 3D like that, that's what I would do in my mix.
Yeah.
That's how I start like, you know, compartmentalizing everything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's where the tone of the band comes together and the sound of the band comes together, you know what I mean? And if it's a 2 guitar player band, it's very, very, very important to not use the exact same fucking gear.
Yeah, we did that. We used the same fucking equipment.
Yeah, to not use the exact same gear, especially with guitar players, because then you have the same frequencies, and it just seems like it's just that much, like it's stacked and that much more. You want like diversity in tones, you know what I mean? If someone's using like a British kind of tone and someone's using like a Mesa kind of tone that blends well together, or a 5150 tone and a Marshall tone.
There you go.
Like those blend well together, but when you're doing and even, you know, to tell you the truth, like I've heard bands with like 2 Marshalls that just sound fucking killer.
Yeah.
But that you know, like the British sounding amps, a lot of the time are the ones that sound really good together. But once you like
start blending them up, then
I mean, you have to blend. For me, I mean, ideally, if I was in a single guitar player band, I would you know, I would ABY you know, 2 different rigs that sound different and either have mics on them or you know, some type of cab sim on them for front of house. I mean,
are you do you direct out on your system, or do you do you mic?
Well, no, we right now.
When you're live, I guess.
When we're live, we're doing direct out because lately live we've been using Kempers live.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've been using Kempers live, but because logistically it just works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how's that journey learning that Kemper though?
Oh, it's not that bad. It's actually super easy to learn.
We saw some videos on it and it kind of freaked us out.
Yeah, I was kind of like, wait, like, what's going on here?
It's like you're looking at an amp, but it's like an amp from the fucking, you know, from another planet.
From another planet.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is logistically, I mean, the thing weighs maybe about 10 pounds. It has a 600 watt power amp.
Yeah.
Now,
but you can pretty much mimic any amp, right?
You can, but I mean,
is it pretty accurate?
It's accurate. Yes, it's pretty accurate. But when it comes to tone, I'm a big tone snob.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a big fan of tube amps, and you know, I love my Wizards and stuff like that. But I mean, logistically, you could pull some great tones out of it. You have to work with it, and the two keys to wanting to use them live is you need a good pair of flat monitors.
Okay.
And that way you can hear, or at least get in the ballpark where front of house can make their adjustments, and you're not, you're not like, cranking your highs or your mids or your lows, just to where it's nice and even, so they can make adjustments.
If your monitors are flat, then you're going to hear what front of house will hear on theirs.
Exactly.
As close as possible, of course.
I mean, a lot of people use them just direct with like in-ears, but I can't just have just in-ears, you know what I mean? I need a live cabinet, because with those like modelers or stuff like that, you need to have, like for me, I need feedback points.
Yeah.
And that happens with the live speaker and where you're standing. You know what I mean? So I know points where I can stand, where I need to get like natural, like harmonic
squeals or
like,
tones,
and
pinch
just,
harmonics and stuff.
Well, not necessarily a pinch harmonics, but where I can get like feedback in, like a harmonic feedback in a certain note, and where I know it's gonna last or stay, because I hang out in front of the monitor a lot, and a lot of the time is I do that so I can hear everything that's going on. You know what I mean? And
Jake loves the monitors loud, right? He's always like raise it.
Monitor snob, bro. I don't care. It's like, please, I'll have a better show if I have monitors.
Yeah, you have to have. You have to be able to hear like key things. Like for me, live, I need to hear kick and snare, of course, and in some instances I really need to have hi-hat in there. I used to have a joke a long time ago, is like, hey, can you give me more hi-hat in the monitor? But it does apply when you play in this band, you know what I mean? Samples and vocals, and just being able to hear my guitars.
I do it with kindness now, man. I'll be like, hey man, you got a nice monitor setup, man. You pretty bad at monitors? Yeah man, I got this, hey man, those JBLs, man, those Actives, man, those shits are bad, dude. So you're pretty bad at monitors? We'll see how bad you are. Like, hey man, can I get a little more? Like, oh yeah man, I got you all day. I got that's how I kill them with kindness now, man, because people are real sensitive about their monitor. One time we got kicked out of Rods and Wheels one time. I got kicked off stage. The only time I ever got kicked off stage is at Rods and Wheels, man, and I was asking for a monitor, and we had just like, it was our second song, man. Like, well, if you don't fucking like it, get the fuck out. Get out of here. And like what the fuck, man? Yeah.
No, I think monitors are super important, and
all I need to hear is the drums and know what's going on, and I myself at least, I'm good.
I just feel it's a better experience if I can hear everybody. That's how I know I'm gonna have a good show, because if I just gotta trust that he's doing okay and everybody's on, like I don't have a good show like that. Like I don't have a good setup.
I just got a set of some killer in-ears.
Custom made, the bolt to your ear and everything.
Ultimate ears. They made me a fucking really awesome set of in-ears that I was about to use, because I made the choice to switch to in-ears now.
Okay.
And I never got to use them because we were rehearsing for Australia and Japan. And that's when they started canceling all the flights, and so we still rehearsed, but all of us came home after that. So I'm going in ear, but I'm still gonna have a monitor mix. It's gonna be lower. It's gonna be low, but if there's at any point, if there's any problems, and I'll just go to
the live wedge,
mix.
to the wedge, man.
I like a loud stage. I love a loud stage. I don't like two things I don't like live, or I don't like when it's too quiet, and I don't like an air-conditioned room at all when we're playing live. It has to be a hot room. Like, I love when it's fucking hot. Dude, tell you one story real quick, but we were in Europe last year, and it was during a heat wave. And we're playing in Germany, right? We're playing in what part? We're playing in Berlin, actually, at a place called Huxley's, and no AC in this fucking venue. There's 2,000 people crammed in there.
Was the ceiling short?
No, it's a pretty big place. It's a pretty big like auditorium and stuff. 2,000 people in there. and in the middle of a heat wave, and on stage, bro, it was 114 degrees on stage, dude.
Oh, dude, that made me throw up.
114 degrees on stage.
Breathing in everybody's heat, bro. That makes me throw up.
They had medics there. People were fainting. They were fucking rushing people out. I'm serious. They were rushing people out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were rushing people outside. But yeah, they had like paramedics, and people were passing out. There was like a couple of tunes where I was like fucking losing it. I was like, dude, like I'm starting to see like static, and I would just get water and douse my face, and even the water was hot. I was like, fuck, the water's hot. And I look over at Al, like nothing.
He didn't give
a
fuck.
Like nothing to him, dude. Like nothing. Like nothing. You know what I mean? When I look over and I'm like, this dude like has like just
he could do it. I gotta fucking do
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and believe me, dude, it's very hard to keep up with him. Like, yeah, he's very active on stage, and it like keeps you on your toes. You know what I mean?
You guys are very well rehearsed. Does he ever pull an audible and he's like, hey, hold on, we're gonna stretch out this part?
Oh, dude, everything could. That's one thing, is that you have to be ready for changes at any given moment.
So even though you guys are well rehearsed and you guys got your samples going, he can stop and be like, hey, you know what, let me talk to the crowd right quick.
No. Usually, I mean, it's a show that goes on and stuff like that. But I mean, there's certain songs that can go on for 12, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Just because the vibe
on the cues. And
stuff. Just because the vibe is there, and then when the cues come in, it's like, and I love those times, because you get a show that's not the same all the time. You get songs that are different, that you hear on the album, that are played differently live, or have different parts in them live, to change it up. You know what I mean? Just so you're not hearing the same song the same way every single tour. You know what I mean?
Fucking dope.
Yeah, it gives fans and us. For me, it gives me just a different experience. Like, wow, that's cool. A different version to this. Like, that's fucking awesome. You know?
That's unique. Like no one else is ever going to hear that version.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It was just that unique.
Yeah, like I could think of a couple of songs that have been played differently through the years, and I'm like, wow, all the versions are fucking awesome. You know what I mean? But it's cool. You know what I mean? It just, and it keeps you on your toes too, because it teaches you that at any given moment something can change, and you just have to adapt to the change, and you can't be like, oh no, well, I like it this way or that way.
You gotta keep up.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it, and that's it.
Any last words for the local musicians here in El Paso, or anyone that's going to be able to check out this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is, being from here, man, is be proud of where you come from, man. Like, we come from a very, very special and very unique place in the United States. You know what I mean? I've had chances to move other places. You know what I mean? And although maybe that'll happen at one point
later down the road.
Later down the road, you never know. You know what I mean? But I'm very, very proud of where I come from. You know what I mean? There's a lot of culture, a lot of history here that I think still needs to be spotlighted at sometime down the road or whatever. But
I mean, you're one of the biggest ambassadors we have, man.
You know,
representing El Paso out there, man.
You know, thank you. And if I could do that, just a little bit of that to inspire people here in this town to do the same. You know, I just the only thing I could say is, play as much as you can with all the heart that you have, and just love where you come from, because where you come from, being here in El Paso, like I said, it's a very unique and very special place. And I could tell you that from experience when I meet people. Everyone has a story about El Paso, and everyone.
That's crazy.
There's a weird connection, and there is a universal connection that I've come to understand. There's a universal connection in this city, whether it be with actors or with musicians or with just people passing through. Everyone has a story about this city, because there's a certain energy in the city that can't be replicated. It is very special, and I encourage people to visit the city, because it's a very special city, and it holds. It's something that I hold special to my heart. I grew up here. I was born and raised here, but for the musicians, just be proud of where you come from. Give it your all. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole,
Don't be
man.
an asshole. Be cool, man. Don't talk smack about other bands.
Nah, fuck no.
And just learn about each other. Learn about yourself. Push it to the limits, man. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one style of music. Learn all styles of music. And just give it your all, and never expect anything. Like, give it your all, but don't expect shit, because that's when you start getting disappointed.
Cesar, man, thank you so much, man.
Thank
Maybe
you so
one
much,
day
Cesar.
down the road we can have you on again, brother.
Yeah,
man.
awesome.
It meant a lot to me, man.
No, thank you for asking me to do it. Yeah,
for coming out, dude.
It's very rare that I have a little bit of time to be able to do stuff. I'm not the busiest dude on earth, but like I said, I prioritize on the family and on the kids and on work and stuff like that. And aside from that, I don't like leaving my house, man. I don't like leaving my house so much that I found the quickest route to get here, and it wasn't the fucking highway. I drove through the fucking desert. I really drove through the desert in my truck to get here. No roads, nothing but fucking dirt to get from point A to point B.
Man.
And it cut my time. I cut 20 minutes off of my fucking trip, dude. Oh, yeah. I
got
here in 15 minutes.
You're fucking awesome, dude. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Right, cool.
We'll catch you guys next time on Chucano Podcast. Hit up Cesar on all his social medias. We're gonna put them in the links. We're gonna put the links in the description of this video. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.